Personal story segment tonight. At this point, the polls don't matter very much as things are changing quickly, as we discussed in the presidential race. But the latest polls have Senator Barack Obama leading Senator McCain by about 7 points nationwide. And there's no doubt that much of Barack Obama's support comes from younger Americans, many of them in college. But how much do these voters really know? Listen now, David Simons, who works for the Obama campaign. He'll be at Yale Law School coming up. And from Massachusetts, Angela Wood, also an Obama supporter, who's headed to Drexel University Law School in August. Angela, begin with you. What's your big issue here?
Well, I think health care is the most important issue for a few reasons. One, we have 47 million Americans right now without health insurance. What Barack Obama's plan wants to do is to not only ensure that all Americans have insurance, but it requires that all 9 million children in America that do not have health insurance, in fact, get it.
Okay. So, all right, we got that. So your health care is your big issue, and you believe that Americans, by their birthright, should have government-funded health care if they can't afford it. Their birthright dictates that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you base that on the Constitution, or do you just base that on you being a nice person?
While it's not in the Constitution, and many social programs that we have aren't based in the Constitution, I think that as the wealthiest nation in the world that we
it's more of a thing that we have a lot of money and we should spend it in this way. Do you believe that every American by their birthright should have a decent home? Because if you don't have a decent home, chances are your health isn't going to be very good. Does the government owe people who can't afford a nice place to live? And I'm not talking a luxurious condo. I'm just talking a decent home. Do you believe they should have a decent home?
Yes.
Okay. So the government should provide if they can't. How about food? You know, food, nutritious food will keep you healthy. Bad food will not. Should the government provide food to those who can't afford it?
Well, if you look, we do have
Absolutely, a food stamp program.
But health insurance is, I believe, a different issue other than, providing housing to people.
But you just said, what I'm trying to get across is what you believe. You believe government should provide health care to those who can't afford it, a decent dwelling to those who can't afford it, and I would assume food. So you're basically going on, and I'm not saying this in any pejorative way at all, a socialist track, that if you can't provide for yourself, the government does. Am I wrong?
I think you exaggerate what I say.
All right.
But
I don't want to exaggerate. Now, David, your big issue is?
It's the economy bill. I mean, like you've been saying, this is a pocketbook election. People are really feeling it. They're having difficulty, making paychecks on making their pay.
Okay, so the economy is your big issue. Now, under Bush, the economy has been pretty good for 7 out of 8 years. Would you cede that? 4.5 unemployment is a pretty low unemployment rate.
I mean, I wouldn't cede that because wages are not keeping pace with inflation.
Interesting. So do you want the government to provide jobs for people who don't have them? Do you want them to do that?
Well, what I want the government to do is to reform what I think is an improper tax policy. What we have right now is tax.
So reform the tax code. I'm for that. I think the tax code is just chaos. But if somebody can't get a job, and this is along the lines of the Angela questioning, do you think the government should provide them with a job?
So I think they should provide them with a job as a right? No, I don't. I think that Americans, if they're looking to work hard, they will find a job. And unfortunately, our economy is not structured that way. The problem is...
But it's only a 5.5 unemployment, so most people are working, even people who are dim like
Bill,
me.
that's still millions of Americans without jobs, and that's just not
right,
acceptable.
but you'll never have full employment. It's never happened anywhere. Now, the second thing on the economy is, do you think that the government should expand and then oversee capitalistic companies, private companies, by saying, look, you greedy CEO, you're making $30 million and you're paying your guys not much, and that should be against the law. Do you want that kind of intrusion into the capitalistic system?
No, I don't want that kind of intrusion. What I'm talking about is repealing the Bush tax cuts for people who make over $250,000 a year.
So you want income redistribution, then? You want to take my money and give it to someone else. That's what that is. Taxing the high wage earner at a much higher rate is income redistribution. You're for that?
Well, I don't really agree that they're being taxed at a much higher rate. They're being taxed at something that's proportionate to their means to pay the tax.
Well, that's a socialistic tenet. By everybody's means, everybody pays. All right, let's get over to you, Angela. I don't want to be unfair to you now, but you did, you want the big government to basically control the quality of life for Americans. That's what healthcare is. That's what housing is. That's what food is. And you want to tax me. I'm sure you'd agree with David that the wealthy people should pay for that to happen, right?
I think you're saying it in the wrong way. If you look at, it in a different way, that those who have benefited from the American dream should help those who have not been as fortunate as they have.
They should be forced to help them. See, I give a lot of money to charity on my own, and I also pay, a fairly significant part of my income in taxes. I pay millions of dollars in taxes. I'm forced to do it, but I don't mind doing it. But under Obama, my tax rate will go up astronomically. It'll go up to close to 50% because he's going to take the payroll tax cap off. So you believe that the government should have a right to 50% of my earnings?
Well, I'm not going to speak for Obama about what
but that's what his plan is.
Yes.
Bill, can I make a point about the payroll tax?
One second. I just want Angela to answer. Go ahead.
I think we need to recognize the fact that we have millions upon millions of Americans that work hard, that work 1, 2, or more jobs, and still can't make ends meet. And the government in the past in this administration has failed to even look at that.
Okay.
We have a capitalist society.
You want it to be more fair system. Last word on you?
Yeah, I mean, the idea about the payroll tax is it's Obama's way of paying for the Social Security system that by the time my generation comes out to retire...
He wants me to pay for it.
Well, he wants to make sure that it remains solvent so that my generation, unfortunately, Bill, you might have to take a bit of a hit, but, he wants to keep it solvent, whereas John McCain wants to, is willing to
But there's a way
benefits.
to keep things solvent. He wants 4 or 5% of the population to carry everybody else. That's what he wants. And that's what people are going to have to make up their mind.
Bill, I wish I was in your position to be able to afford to pay millions of dollars.
David, let me give you some advice. You're a young guy. If you work hard, and you're an honest guy, you will be in my position.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Angela, David, thanks very much. We appreciate it. It was a very interesting conversation. Plenty more.